I'm going to try and fit in another game of 10-minute rapid. Right, 1940, good luck. Oh, what do you get? It must be 25 seconds you get to make your first move in rapid there. 1300 games, so an awful lot more than me. Okay, we're just going to try and develop castle and worry about what to do. Keep it fairly straightforward, fairly simple. Bishop up does allow moves like the queen up, so I think I'll just delete this game, maybe just develop. Obviously you might take the pawn there, but just going to castle. If I take, you're going to take like this, so I might try and challenge in the centre here. So let's play rook across, and we've got the option. He does take. We've still got the option to try and push a pawn forward. Okay, knight across allows maybe knight into the middle. Hit the bishop with a view to coming this way. There's nothing attacking the knight. So if the knight jumps here, nothing attacking my knight, I can spend a move dropping back over. Otherwise I might bring the knight to this side of the board with a view to attacking on the king's side. Right, the bishop's gone back, so I think I'm going to bring the knight here. It will allow potentially queen up, but it closes the file with a view to playing e4, e5. I could try and develop the bishop first, though. Is it vulnerable to this? Possibly. I'm going to just drop the knight back. I don't think it'll take, but you never know. Actually, it's rapid. I shouldn't pre-move. But this is what I want to do with a view to going here. So here now, knight back, maybe queen back. I want the bishop this way as well, but I'm going to trust my instincts and push in the middle. Maybe queen back here, and then the bishop's always got the option to come this side, but I think I want the bishop on this diagonal. Oh, he's played knight there, so I guess I drop back. Here, knight here, maybe across. I don't see anything better, so I'm going here. He could play knight in here, and I've got the option to trade. And we'll just put my little electric heater on there, but it's can go from... It's not cold actually in here right now, it's not too bad. Just starting autumn over here. So the knight's gone back, so my idea was to simply push to try and advance the pawn, restrict this bishop, and then try and press on this side. He's maybe giving me bishop up here though, and he'll have to play maybe h6. I'm going to do that. Idea to get this rook across into the middle as well, but now there's a nasty pin there. Oh, but with h6, if I drop back, I run the risk of getting trapped. But there is e5. So h6, e5, takes. I guess you can push. So I'd probably drop the bishop back over. But it forces h6, gives me a target for later in the game. Potentially anywhere. Let's clear them arrows. But obviously that's the obvious threat right now. Or an annoyance, I suppose. Yeah, it has indeed played h6, so e5 I don't think is a move, but you're still going to look at it. I think my opponent's fine, so I think bishop e3 is what I want. You might get knight here, and then I'll drop back again. Maybe I should just come right back to d2 then. I'll just come right back. I want to bring the rook into the middle, then possibly put the bishop here. Just hope I don't have one of these lapses that I sometimes have where I just see something and then forget about it altogether. So it wants to do this, so do I do it before my opponent does? But it does give me a really nice square for the knight. So I'm just going to go here. Here allows the knight to jump forward. So it has played it, so I've got this potential I can take. I can play knight up. I can bring the bishop across. I like bishop over, I think, for now. If takes, I can take, or I could go with the rook. I can then try and spring load the pawn and push it forward. Knight f5 looks very good. Okay, so the queen's developed. Can I just take that now? I could play knight into f5 with tempo, I suppose, but take bishop takes isn't a move, is it? Why don't I just take it? It's very committal, because I can't undo it. It'll just be a temporary pawn. Say here, knight forward, queen here. There's nuisance moves, but I don't think I can afford to push there. Take, take, I'm just going to lose it, aren't I? So I'm going to take. I could have gone with the knight first to see if he gave up the bishop, but I'd still end up with my double pawns. But I've gained a pawn, so we'll expect to give a pawn back and we won't be any worse off. So what does you do? I'm expecting knight here, that's what we've got. So I've still got knight forward as a potential, maybe jumping here. Yeah, I'm going to do that, I think. Let's hit the queen. I've got to be careful though, just one silly blunder and that can be any game of chess gone. This, you can still go here now. So 2 defend the pawn and 4 attack it, so I can't realistically keep it, but maybe knight to d6 and hit the pawn and hit the rook could be an idea. I could just push the pawn forward and try and chuck it that way. Queen up I didn't expect, but there is a potential threat. It is covered now though. But knight in hits the rook and hits the pawn. I don't think I've got any other threat there. So I'm going to play it. Again, we might have a counter threat. Queen here to hit the pawn, but it would allow the queen coming in here. So h3 first maybe. Let's just see what opponent does. Get the cursor off the board so I can't do any accidental slips. Oh, it does take. I didn't expect that. So if I just take with the pawn, it seems very logical to me, so I'm going to do it. It opens a file. Potential to push. That's still guarded. I want to kick the knight, of course, if I can. Knight goes here. I just try and take, although there is a pin to my queen. So I mustn't forget about that. Just give a free queen away. But if I can get e5 in and support the pawn, I mean, again, pros and cons, it does allow the knight to come across. Let's just see what black does. h3 is a candidate move I'm looking at to try and kick that knight away. Very dangerous just to leave it on g4. So you just have a lapse in concentration, forget it's there, and the queen comes crashing through. Yeah, rook's come across, so I can't play e5 now and support the pawn. I think I can. It does allow a square for the knight, but it gives me a very nice center with an idea to come here. Just try and trap the knight. So I'm going to do it. I don't want to burn all my clock. I'm up on the clock. You got to play the clock as well as the position. So h3 is definitely my candidate move next because the knight's got no obvious squares to jump to. pushes the pawn. So again, h3, the knight can now take. But can I just simply push on now? Or throw in a queen check first and then take? That looks dangerous actually. Queen can maybe block. But if we trade the queens, surely I can just push on. I could just potentially simply take the pawn now. Rook takes is fine. I'm still guarding this. Here now the knight simply takes. It's whether I can push the pawn, go here, or check. With check, I imagine you'd block. We trade the queens. And then I can maybe take. Or just push. Although the knight would hit this pawn, so I'd push this and then this. But it feels fine. But taking the pawn feels like it's opening the king's position up a bit more. But maybe it isn't. And once I've done it, there's no undoing it, of course. Ooh, actually, if I check though, I'm leaving this issue, aren't I? Yeah, it's too dangerous. I'm going to take the pawn. I can check, block, and trade. It's all fine, but just have one little lapse and the queen crashes through. But if knight takes now, I can't take with a bishop unless I check first. But I can check now. Potentially trade. I can trade the rook. I can potentially push. Have I got something better like queen up there? I'm going to throw a check in. There's no immediate pressure on the pawn now. Queen down, I think I can just trade. I think I can, and then chop the knight. Then you've got broken pawn structure at least. Albeit my own pawns are going to come under attack. If the king moves, I'm pretty sure I'll take the knight. Yeah, the queen does come, so I could take the knight now anywhere. Queen takes, pawn takes. Doubling my pawns up could be useful here instead of bringing the knight forward. So I'm going to take here first. Probably got to take, but I could take the rook first. I'll take with the knight to keep guarding this pawn, I think. Rook takes, you're still going to have to take the bishop though. Then it's not easy to try and guard my pawn. It might not be easy to guard it anyway. And obviously I've accepted double pawns here now. Does indeed take, so knight is what I was looking at, but can I get away with rook? After takes here, I can't defend the pawn, so I'm going this way. I'm just going to bring the knight back forward and maybe g3. I don't think I can keep this pawn. So we're essentially level. Once that pawn's gone, we're level. I've got a worse pawn structure here, but a better pawn structure on the king's side. But obviously, I need to push one to be able to... Hold on, can I go here? Idea just to come in and guard this pawn. I need to push one to avoid the back rank mate, so maybe just even gain space. f4 could be sensible. So knight across, hit the pawn. Obviously there is knight over to cut this pawn. There's not much I can do about that. What's wrong with pawn up though? Try and plant the knight there. You've still got this, but my knight can guard, and I can play h3 or f3 potentially. A knight there. I want to bring my king up, but it does walk into a potential check. Is that bad though? I'm not sure it is. I'm going to bring my king up. There's one check, but I can go here, and there's no follow-up check. Then h3, f3 at some point. I might just step the king forward one more. Here, I play h3, I think. No, see, f3, but if I play king up, I'm threatening f4 at some point. King up. There's no knight check. So if the knight wanders off, there's a check threat. The rook can potentially come behind. It's not a mate threat. The king can step back, but it's still a nuisance for black to deal with. Let's clear the arrows. I think black probably wants the knight over here to try and deal with this knight. Oh, comes forward. But if I go here now and you guard it, there's then a weakness here. Potentially. And if you push that one as well, the knight's going to get loose. But I could just come here. Okay. I mean, I can do this with a view to going here. Oh, hold on. Can I create a mate threat there? Rook across to go here, then that's a mate threat if I can distract the knight. Let's go here first and try and encourage this, and then here. And see what you do about this one. If the knight wanders off, I'm going to try and do something like this to create a mate threat. Again, I've got to play the clock opponents down to a minute, so I'm going here to hit this pawn and see what you're going to do with it. If the knight moves, the pawn does move. Okay, but now I can hit the knight. And if the knight moves, I've got this, but I want to try and box the king in first. Well, the knight could simply go back, of course, but check now, you just step back. I've not got much, so I'm going here after a checkmate threat. Rook there, then that's mate. The knight can easily guard it, can go here and hit the pawn, so it's a risk. I could play the rook simply out the back, so the knight has gone there. But if the knight wanders off, it's checkmate. So the knight can't move now. Oh, I've blundered here, have I? No. That's a chance for my opponent to blunder. Rook takes, I've got a rook check. Oh, he has done it. Just blundered checkmate. Wow, that is a very nice finish. Excellent.